Boston, Montreal, 57-58 on your rotation. Boston laying -130 to -135 on the road. The total 5.5. Pretty much across the board. Pretty much even money as well, -110 on that total. And we'll see if this game, a great rivalry, by the way, Canadiens and Bruins, both, again, much like we've talked about with so many games on this card, both teams coming out of their break for this hockey game. It's actually the first meeting of the season, believe it or not, tonight between the Boston Bruins and Montreal Canadiens. I can't believe it. It's January 13th. They're division rivals, and this is the first time all season that they're playing head-to-head. It's kind of surprising, but I understand the break probably came at a good time for the Montreal Canadiens because we know this team has been just almost a disaster at times throughout the course of the season. They had just a brutal, dismal losing streak going. They did win their last two, believe it or not, before the break. Beat Tampa in a shootout, but they needed Carey Price to be absolutely heroic in that game to win it. And then they beat Vancouver, which is, it's not at home, which is, it's an okay win, but it's not great. So Montreal's got a lot to prove. They've got a lot of ground to make up. Boston, the concern is, they were just tearing it up, the Bruins, going into the break. Does the break throw them off a little bit? They did lose that last game before the break. It was a game that Tuukka Rask called his performance, shit or something like that. He was not happy at all following that game against Pittsburgh. They lost 6-5 in overtime. Probably was one of Tuukka Rask's weaker games in quite some time because he hasn't had many weak games. He's been, for the most part, a tower of power in the pipes for the Boston Bruins. So for me, it's a tough game to gauge. I'm not really always in love with laying -130 or more on the road, but if I have to give a lean in this game, it would still be to Boston. I've got to see it before I can believe it from the Montreal Canadiens in terms of a clear turnaround and against a team that, for the most part, was playing pretty good going into the break, and that was the Boston Bruins. Does the break disrupt the rhythm and the momentum that they had? Perhaps. That's my concern, but I'll give a lean to Boston here in this game at about the -130 price. Let's go to Andrew McGinnis for the first time because he wants to talk about his beloved Habs, who will try to show us something in a positive manner here as the second half of their season kicks off. Andrew, what do you see in this game tonight and for the Habs moving forward?
Yeah, hopefully they can show us something, Ian. I hope they can do something for us. But I just want to actually echo just what you were saying earlier about those teams coming off a bye week or going off the rest. It's important that people to know it's not just assuming that the other team is going to play like absolute trash just because they've had that rest. But it's so important for people to recognize that even though these guys are professional athletes, you play a sport every single day. It's what they do as their job. So when you're not doing it for 6 days and you come back to the rink and you're practicing and you're getting back into your first game in a week or even a week and a half, it's different for you. It's out of the ordinary, and you kind of get back into the mix and you're getting used to things. Similar to how we saw in Edmonton and Arizona last night, where it was actually a 2-0 lead for Arizona, and then slowly but surely the Edmonton Oilers came back. So it's one of those things where it's a long-term thing. It's a full game process. It's not like it's guaranteed win just because another team's coming off a break or anything like that. But it's one of those kind of like long-term, full game. You're just used to the experience. You've had the games for the past couple of days, and the other team is not really used to it. But guys, this Montreal-Boston matchup, this is one that I always look forward to. I think this is by far the biggest rivalry for the Canadiens right now. I mean, that rivalry with the Maple Leafs hasn't really been there in a while now, in my opinion. The Bruins are their main rivalry. And, like Ian said, it's pretty clear. Bruins and Habs were in completely different directions before the for a little break there, and they both haven't played games in 6 days. But, I'm kind of counting on both these teams to be rested up. I'm kind of counting on the Habs to put a couple goals up right now. But look, something I found kind of interesting is on the season, Boston averaging 3.28 goals per game, Montreal just 2.57. If you look at the last the 10 games head-to-head here, Montreal averaging 2.6 goals per game and Boston 2.3. So a relatively low-scoring series. I was kind of expecting more of a high-scoring one tonight. And, when you look at teams coming off breaks, there's either two things are going to happen. Is either one, they're going to be really rusty and you won't see anything at all, or two, it's going to be a very sloppy game and it's going to be just the floodgates are going to be wide open. That's kind of what I'm hoping for tonight. But I do think that with everything aside, Boston is just the superior team. They're a lot stronger. They're not really the big bad Bruins, that tough team anymore, but They just have a lot more scoring depth, and they make a lot more plays on a consistent nightly basis than this Montreal Canadiens team do. The only injury right now for the Boston Bruins is Adam McQuaid. But look at this. Look at the Habs. I mean, of course, I gotta mention once again, Ales Hemsky still out with that concussion. I mean, what has he really been for the Habs this year? And of course, Shea Weber, like I mentioned, he's been out more than he's been in. He's still has that foot injury. So looking at this game, I'm looking at the Bruins in the money line. I'll lay minus 124. I'm seeing at Pinnacle right now. You can see minus 130 at most places. But look, these two teams are nowhere close to each other in the standings. I don't think Montreal has really a chance on catching up to any of these teams in the Atlantic. But this game is always good no matter what, no matter where the standings are. And I think that I was slightly on the over, but I'm more strong on the Bruins money line. But look, you gotta get some credit to this Montreal team. They're rested. They did end on a good note going into the little break there, and I think that they should be able to put up some goals. And hopefully, Claude Julien could have done something, make any kind of changes. I can see right now the projected lineup is Pacioretty, Philippe Deneau, Barry Lehman. So I have been and let's break down this team. I don't really even start to complain about the Habs players before and how there's so many mediocre players. It's all about how they mesh together in the chemistry. So second line right now is Paul Byron, Thomas McKenna, and Brendan Gallagher. So we've got Jonathan Drouin, the faded for Sergachev, and Clauding on the top of the line. That's obviously worrisome, but it's also paired with Outcast third line with Charles Strong. So we'll see how those guys pair up together. I think it's the rest of the team. But again, Boston as Syria, they put up a lot higher numbers. Look at their last couple of games here. 6-5 loss. Pittsburgh still put up a lot of goals there. 7-1 win versus Carolina and a 5-1 win versus the Islanders heading into that break. Just a couple stats here on Boston. They're 8-2 straight up with their last 10 games, and the over has gone over in 4 of Boston's last 6 games. They're also playing very well on the road right now, and I think right now for Montreal, they kind of are trending towards those under kind of games, but it's not working out. Even though they have the best goaltender in the world, things aren't looking that great for them, and why I'm looking for over guys on a slight lean and Boston Bruins on the money line.
All right, Boston and a lean to the over. Your audio was cutting in and out there a little bit. It was like very, very it was, I don't know. It went quiet all of a sudden, and then it went loud again. I don't know, but we got the gist of what you were saying for sure. Boston. I know, Boston money line and the lean to the over, yeah. But we got it in that game. So yeah, I mean Boston, has did a great job last year. Obviously, when they had the coaching change, Bruce Cassidy came in there. They had a good finish to the last season, and look, they're having a great start so far this season as well. So it's just a question of, is the break going to disrupt the rhythm a little bit? I remember someone in the chat asking about the totals for these teams coming out of the bye week break. I finally did the number crunching just now while Andrew was talking there, finished it up, actually started it early, and it takes a while. You got to look back at all the games from last year with the bye week teams, but 14-8-4 last year to the over for games involving bye week break teams coming out in that first game coming out of the break. 14 overs, 8 unders, 4 pushes, 15-8-4 if you include last night's game. Edmonton, Arizona, because that game went over the total, 4-2 over the total in that game. So 15-8-4 to the over for games involving teams in their first game out of the bye week break, for those of you into totals. Boston, Montreal is also on Dana Lane's betting card tonight in the NHL. So, Dana, how are you looking in this game?
Yeah, I appreciate, Andrew, that you're finally getting on the bandwagon. I think that it's been a long time coming. I think that you've wanted to for a while, and this is a great opportunity to do so. So welcome to the Boston Bruin bandwagon, and we hope that we'll get a victory for you tonight. So welcome. Hey, look, guys, I've been watching this series for a long time. Since I was a little kid, I remember sitting there screaming at the television like a moron, thinking they could actually hear me. Boston just has never been able to beat Montreal. This has always been the way it's been. In fact, last year was the first time, I think, in 8 years, Boston has had their best record against Montreal. Even a year that the Bruins went and won the Stanley Cup, they struggled against the Montreal Canadiens. They struggled in their playoff series against the Canadiens, and they were clearly the better of the two teams. But I think it's it's going to be a different story tonight. I have the Bruins ranked 7th in my power rankings right now, which I think is pretty fair. I do like this team. Do I think they're a top 5 team that bet at at all costs? No, I don't think they're in that position. But Montreal is just nowhere to be seen on that list. This is just a team that's simply bad, and Carey Price gives them a chance every single night. But even Carey Price is not the Mr. Reliable that we're used to. I would love to see Montreal become more consistent on their transition. I would love to see, talking to guys at practice the other day at the Golden Knights practice, and I just said, look, this is why this team is so good. It's 3 passes from your end through the neutral zone to the offensive end, and they are on top of you. That's why they're so good. And I never see that out of Montreal. It's always a struggle to get through the neutral zone. It seems like they're skating through quicksand, and they're just not a team that I think that is going to be able to, keep up with the Bruins, who are, if you really, look at where they are right now. There's 4 lines. The Bruins have 4 lines that could put the puck in the net, that can score. We know about the Marchand and the Bergeron and the Pastrnak line, but even if you go down to their 4th line, Kari's got 4 goals in the last 5 games. You have Carolay's got 2 assists, but Tim Schaller's got 3 points in his last 10. But at least they're giving something. Even the 3rd line, and Backus has 6 in his last 10. Riley Nash is starting to see some success, and Heinen has 6 points in his last 10. These are 3rd line guys, and so I don't feel like there's any way that I can take the Montreal Canadiens tonight. I know Carey Price is always the X factor, but certainly he cannot be leaned on like he has in past years. They don't have one guy in this team that has more than 23 points. They don't have one player with more than 16 goals. I just don't see how if you put these teams on paper, the Bruins are the better team. You're only being asked to lay $1.27 now at Pinnacle, $1.30 in some spots. I don't think that's too much to lay. The Bruins are by far a better team, and I think they proved that tonight on the road in Montreal.
Yeah, hard to dispute that. So Boston is the play for Dana in this game. Bruins taking on the Habs. These teams are going to get to know each other very well. We're talking about teams that are about to face each other 3 times in the next 10 days. So you talk about teams that they're going to make up in a big way for the fact that this is the first meeting of the season between these division rivals. They're going to get to know each other quite well these next 10 days. That's going to build up probably a little animosity on the ice. We might see some of that again start to develop here in these 3 games coming up with the Bruins and the Habs starting tonight.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.